The most common form of brain tumors are those that stem from other places in the body and metastasize. I have with me Dr. Edward Mercadichian, neurosurgeon, brain surgeon. Tell us a little bit of some of the warning signs of a brain tumor.
There's a multitude of symptoms that actually are related to brain tumors. The most common of them are headaches, seizures, and also some neurologic deficits, such as weakness or numbness in one or multiple limbs.
So how are brain tumors actually diagnosed? What are some of the procedures or steps that one would take?
There are many forms of CAT scans, but the most common type of a scan nowadays that we use to diagnose brain tumors is the MRI of the brain.
And what does that provide you with? Is it actually we see the tumor from the MRI? Does it look different than the other tissue?
Yes, it shows a difference of the tumor from the surrounding brain. It doesn't tell you the type of tumor, but it just tells you that there is something that's abnormal in the brain.
So when you say types of tumors, what type of tumor would not possess a harmful effect on the brain, and what am I looking at that's the worst case scenario?
The most common, unfortunately, brain tumors are the metastatic brain tumors, and these are malignant tumors. The most common primary brain tumors are also malignant. There are, though, some benign brain tumors that, even though they're benign, they still grow. But resecting them will allow you to have a full recovery and lead a normal life.
What does metastatic tumor mean?
A metastatic brain tumor is a tumor that originates somewhere in the body and travel primarily via blood into the brain, where it establishes itself into the brain and it starts growing and damaging brain and produce neurologic symptoms.
So what are the forms of treatment that you undergo if you do find out that you have a brain tumor?
Again, there's many modalities of treatment. The most common modalities are surgical resection, radiation therapy, either conventional or focused radiation, which is the stereotactic radiosurgery such as gamma knife, and also some chemotherapy or a combination of those.
Explain to me a little more about the gamma knife and how that works.
Gamma knife is a focused radiation where actually stereotactically you can direct 201 beams through the brain, which do not harm the area that it goes through, but you can focus it and outline it to the shape of the tumor and produce a significant amount of radiation to that tumor itself.
Is the patient awake during this procedure?
That's correct. What you do is that you bring the patient early in the morning, you put the frame on the head, you get an MRI, and then you plot the shape of the tumor on the computer, and then you instruct, in a sense, the computer to do the radiation. And after it's done, patient usually in the afternoon leaves the hospital.
What is the incident rate of dying from a brain metastasis?
Well, brain metastasis, if it's not treated, it will damage the brain and ultimately cause the demise of the patient and death. And ultimately, if the treatment is not successful, every person who has brain metastasis will succumb to the disease and die from it. The most frequent metastatic brain tumors comes from melanomas and renal cells. That means if you have a melanoma or renal cell, the odds are that very high that there is going to be metastasis to the brain. But the most common type of metastatic brain tumors are actually from the lung and the breast because they're more prevalent in the population.
Once you have brain surgery and you've removed the tumor, will the patient be back to their full self?
It depends on how much of a deficit the patient has and whether the deficit is related to the destruction of the brain or only the swelling. Most of the time, people present with the tumor and a swelling in the brain. The swelling is the causative factor of the deficits. And if this tumor is accessible and you can remove it surgically completely, these patients will resolve their swelling and ultimately resolve their deficits and actually become normal again.